Can you guys see my screen? You guys can't see my screen. Let me plug this in. Can I get a shout from somebody online whether you can see my screen or not?
I can see it.
Okay, perfect. Now just wait for 1 second for that to come up and then go away and then come back up and then go away. Okay. All right, I think we're good. Okay, so welcome. If anybody doesn't know who I am, underneath this mask, Serena Roberts. I have been leading co-leading the Twin Cities Tableau User Group for like 8 years now. We've got a team of other folks who help out, Jim being one of them. And I think no one else from our organizational team is here today, but we're a small but mighty crew, and I appreciate all the help. So welcome to the October 2023 Twin Cities Tableau User Group Halloween edition. I got some other costumes in the room, although they are like a little bit more low-key than mine is. So the last time we did a Halloween themed, which I think was last October, we had a gal dress up in like a full gorilla suit. It was awesome. So I gotta say I'm a little disappointed. I hope some of you online have some costumes. That's all I'm gonna say. Okay, so agenda today, welcome. That's where we are. Thank you for coming in person and online. It would be really weird to do this without an audience. So thanks for being here. We'll go around in costumes. We're gonna celebrate those people who have dressed up in costumes today. And then we'll get into our presentations. I have removed the get to know a member section from my standing agenda because we're having it as part of one of our presentations. You've got it in yours, right, Greg? Okay, so Greg's got it in his, excuse me. And then for anyone that's interested and has time, we can take a crew over to Tavern 23 and grab the beverage of your choice, and feel free to join us in spirit from your houses as well. Before we get into costumes, I'd just like to let you guys know of what other events are coming up, data-related events. On November 10th, there's an Applied AI conference that is, I think, the first of a series. I don't know a ton about it, but it's a hot topic right now, and it could be interesting to attend. Does anybody have any more info? Like Chris, I don't know, you gave like a weird smile, like you knew something about it. So
I think it's the third one, isn't it?
is it? Okay. No, I could be totally wrong because it's just new on my radar. Anyway.
The smile was just because I've heard of it and
okay.
Clearly need to look up more information.
All right. So if you, I don't know if that one's on Meetup or not, but if you Google Applied AI, I think they call it their Fall 2023 conference, which I guess would make sense if it was not their first. So I'm probably wrong on that. December 5th is another She Talks Data event with Therese Sandy. She is an author. She wrote the book Find Your Fierce. We did like a book club on that book. It was super good. It is slanted toward a female audience, but I would say there's tons of good stuff in there for dudes too. So December 7th will be our next TC Tug meeting. Location TBD, like weather-wise. If it's crap, we'll probably just do that like totally virtually. So keep watch out for announcements on LinkedIn, messages that come from the Bevy platform, which is where all of the Tableau user groups are operating from now. So if you are not getting emails every single month about what the Twin Cities Tableau user group is doing, then just Google Twin Cities Tableau user group. You'll get to the right page, and you may have to like join or rejoin our hub. And then just be careful when you unsubscribe to things from Tableau, because sometimes that will unsubscribe you from our stuff too. And it's imperfect. I don't have any control over it. But just FYI, be careful when you unsubscribe because you might be missing our important stuff. And then just like a quick self-interested plug here. We are bringing back the Cities Tech conference. I don't know if any of you remember that from 2021. It was supposed to be in 2020, but COVID happened. But in 2021, we got like 70 people in a room. It was like 100 people online. It's actually quite an awesome turnout. That is for women and men and allies, all kind. There's great stuff there. So early registration is open for that conference, which is happening in May 3rd, 2024. Okay. Does anybody else know of any other events or announcements, whether could be you're looking to fill a position, maybe you're looking for a position. If you have anything that you would like to share with this community on this platform, now's the time to do it. So let me wait the requisite 30 seconds of awkward silence before we move on. It's weird, right? Somebody just walked in our moment of silence, and he's probably like, what in the world? We're having a moment of prayer. No, I'm kidding. Nothing against prayers. Okay. All right, let's move on. So, costumes. Let me escape out of this and stop sharing my screen. Okay, obviously, I'm in costume complete with like skeleton ballerina t-shirt to coordinate with my face paint. We also have, we're not getting signal anymore. Well, you guys can see in the room. Let me unplug here and bring the camera around. We also have, can you guys like stand up together or something?
Yeah. Sure.
We have the 5 Taco Bell hot sauces. The Midco team representing. And note that the fancy Verde sauce is wearing a suit jacket.
Very important.
Attention to detail there. All right. Any other costumes that I'm just assuming is your normal face? Do we have any costumes online? We have somebody that sounds like they're driving. I need to find you and mute you. Okay. I will assume. How do I mute you? There we go. Okay. Sorry, Patricia, I had to mute you. All right. No other costumes online, it looks like. I'm not gonna lie, I'm a little disappointed. Next year. I'll give you another chance next year. Okay. So with that, I'm gonna invite. Did you guys have a preference of which of the two of you went first? Okay, Greg's going first.
Oh yeah, I'll also do it first.
Oh, that's right. Okay, so we've got Brad up first, and did you need to?
I think it's the first slide of his
Okay.
deck.
So I'll leave this actually over here so people can still see and hear you online. And want to ever. Yeah, just do entire screen.
Okay.
Are you gonna share from there, or are you gonna connect to the board front?
Share.
You don't have the option to share here. Why don't you come up here and get plugged in first? And I will make sure that you have presenter rights. Greg, where are you? Stand by. You've got presenter mode.
Yeah, I see
I
it.
could give you moderator mode to see if that helps.
Oh.
Let me take a look at your options. It's your screen right here, right? So if you click it,
Or
oh, it's not touch screen, is
Oh, I
it?
got it. Mouse
Yep,
it.
you gotta
Okay.
click it and then you
Ooh.
share. There you go.
mine.
Yep.
PowerPoint.
Inception.
Yep, now we're back to Inception.
Okay.
Okay, so I'll do like once you start talking, I'm gonna do a quick audio check with these guys
Okay.
just to make sure that from over here they can still hear you.
Okay,
So
I can start talking now,
Yeah.
and you can do your audio check. Hi, everyone. My name is Brad Cantor, and I work at Midco. We're hosting today's TC Tug event.
can you guys hear Brad?
Can someone thumbs up if they're online?
Yep, sounds good.
Thank you. So for those of you who are here in person, there is candy, snacks, water here in the back. So feel free to grab something and you can eat while we're presenting. Don't worry about crumpling paper while I'm up here. I don't mind. But I just wanted to give you a quick thumbnail, one slide about who Midco is, just as an introduction. Midco stands for Mid-Continent Communications. We're a private company based in Edina in the building next door. The largest conference room we have is only 20 people, so we come in here if we have a larger meeting. And I thought there might be could be lots of people here. Certainly is more than 20 if you include everyone that's online. So Midco is on 5 states, as you can see on the visual up here. We sell internet service, TV, telephone, data center. We have a sports channel, Midco Sports. We have 450,000 customers. And as an internet company, our fiber does extend to Denver and Chicago. Just to let you know kind of the size of us. So we're just a Midwest internet company. Our sales are between 500 million to $1 billion. We're like a medium-sized company with about 1,900 people, and we've got 45 in data and analytics, including our data engineering folks. But we have people in South Dakota. There's people that work in all these other states as well. So anyway, I just want to give you a quick thumbnail. I thought it would be appropriate since we're hosting today. So that's it. That's the Midco summary. And thanks.
Thanks, Brad.
Let's see it. All right. Perfect. Thank you, Brad. So I'm Greg Gallardi, and today I'm going to be talking about using actions to enhance navigation for our end users. What that's really going to be at a high level is we're going to use 4 different action types that are all going to work together to build a portal-style dashboard of dashboards, and that's going to give our users the ability to see everything in one spot. So before I get started, as Serena mentioned, I'll be answering some questions that are on the Get to Know a Member. So I work here at Midco on Brad's team. So if you see people around wearing hot sauce shirts, that's in our immediate group here. So we're in the finance analytics group, and you'll hear from Tom, a team member, in a little bit. I've been using Tableau Desktop for over 7 years now, and what that means is I've got a lot of dashboards in a lot of different places. So one of the things that has helped keep my content organized is this portal-style dashboard that I'll be displaying today. During my time using Tableau, I do have a number of certifications. So the Desktop Professional, Certified Associate, and Specialist designations. In terms of reports that I work on, do work in finance, so a lot of our users are used to Excel-style reports, but we do use Tableau for a lot of reporting on budgets, our quotas, so how our products, how's our sales team performing to our targets, our capital reporting, so where's our company investing our money to grow our business, and the impact of price changes. So this is something our team gets involved in a lot at the beginning to see, should we make a price change? And then if we do that, we monitor, is it impacting our business the way we thought it was? And also a little bit of billing, so making sure that our customers are being billed correctly for their services. Big piece of our role though is sales support. And that was the inspiration for this dashboard that we built. So our sales team members have a lot of different data needs. So they want to be able to see a lot of prospective clients, their active clients, and then identify ways to help keep those clients retained. So as contracts expire, as they may see a rate change, keeping our sales team informed of upcoming changes is something that we use this dashboard that we'll show to help our team members with. In terms of areas I'd like to improve upon, a lot of it's keeping up with the new features and releases. So that's something I do wish I could be a little bit better on. One of the things I would say, though, I do well, though, is learning from others, following people on Tableau Public. I know Serena's team members, Kevin and Ken, they got a lot of great content. I get a lot of things from them, and then try to build what they do in a way that I understand, and then can bring back to our business and incorporate it into my dashboards at work. So the goals of the presentation today, going to provide a recap for those of you that were at the meeting last month at General Mills. A lot of the topics that were discussed are really why this dashboard was built that way. So kind of we'll hit on some of those in how to define success for your dashboard. And then we're going to build that portal, go through all of the steps that's going to give our users everything in one spot and give them what we're going to call two-click navigation. They can get to and from reports pretty quickly. So we'll start here with the end in mind. This is a portal report that we've created for our sales team members. And so what we've done here is this is a dashboard of dashboards. This is after everything is completed. We're going to put them all in one spot for them and give them, we're going to organize our content two ways. So first, we're going to group our reports. So we see our sales team, they want to know how their performance is doing, customers that are in their pipeline, and then some other metrics that they are used to measure success. So essentially what's going to happen is the user is going to make two selections, and that's going to display what's on their dashboard. So Brad mentioned we work for a TV company. I kind of look at this like this is a TV. On our left-hand side, that's our remote control. So based on what we press there, that's what's going to show in our window on our TV monitor. And so to get an idea of how this works, do have this out in Tableau Public. So one of the things, and I'm going to just ask that you give me a thumbs up if you can see my new screen here.
Mm-hmm.
How'd you do that? I don't know how you did that. Okay. I don't even know what I did. So. Okay, perfect. So I have created one using dashboards from Workout Wednesday. And so these are dashboards that are similar. Build them all 1 week at a time. They're in a different location. They're in a different workbook, and they're stored out in a different spot. So what I wanted to do is bring them all together, group them in a way that I understand, and I can go through, make selections, and navigate through each of these. Because ultimately, and what we hear from a lot of our users, we know what the report looks like that we want to access. We don't know where it's at. So what this allows them to do is quickly shift around to their refresh our page here. They can go and make a number of selections to go see what they want to do. We'll pull out a pipeline dashboard so they can quickly see what they want to get to. Now, our users will use these for different reasons, and what this enables them to do also is see what they want to go to and then click an arrow, and these are two different actions that will get them out there so they can do whatever they want to do with it. One of the things we ran into early on was that our users download the data that we provide them. They weren't able to do that in that portal window, so we made this second sheet, which is just the arrow that will hold the way for them to get out of the portal into the main report. And so in terms of our data set, it's really quite simple. So we really don't hold any data here. All we are including in here is going to be links to these different reports. So the first thing we do is we group them. So this is just a KPI or a product or sales report. And then from there, we give our dashboards a name. So that's what appears the user's going to select on to show what they want to see in their TV, we're going to call it. So with those two clicks, all 4 actions are going to be taken. The first is going to be the set action. The second is going to be a parameter action, and that's going to drive what's on the TV. So in terms of seeing what the data looks like, this is really all it is. The main things are category, dashboard, and then the 2 links to it, with the main difference being what we're going to show in our portal has this embed at the end. So because we are putting it into a website, we're going to embed it so that it appears nicely for them. Whereas our go-to link, this is what gets held in our arrow, does not include the embed at the end. So
Can I ask a question, Greg?
Yes.
When you are those just the embed links from like that you just copy paste, or did you have to do any kind of like manual modification?
yeah, so no, I created the embed link.
You did.
I
Okay.
did, yeah. So this is what I would get out of when I go to my report, and then I just add this at the end, the question mark, embed, and the toolbar. And then that's what's gonna be added to my parameter.
Got it. Okay.
Okay. So now I'm gonna head back to our PowerPoint. And so getting back to the discussion that was held at General Mills. So this was really the aha moment in defining dashboard success. One of the questions that came up was, can users navigate to different dashboards that are not in the same location? And that's really what this does for our sales team members. This gives them seamless navigation to say, I want to go from here to here and back to here very quickly. Again, they know what the report looks like. They don't always know where the location is. So this helps them with that. Another thing that we run into is with a lot of our performance reporting, we're creating new reports every year. So sometimes they'll send us last year's report of their performance report and say, why doesn't this match my current performance? So anyways, now we have our link of updated reports. It helps us keep them updated, and it helps them know which ones they should be using. So works 2 ways for both of us.
Definitely.
Another big thing is asking, do our users use it? Do we get views? And so this was not the first portal we built. This was the one that's had the most success, though, for a number of reasons. But one thing that has helped, we showed them how to use it. So I think that was important, especially for our non-tech savvy sales team members. By demonstrating to them and following up with directions, that really helped them. And Tom's going to be given a presentation with an overlay. That's something that can be used to add instructions on our dashboard. Another thing that was mentioned at the definition of dashboard success, is it clear what's important? So in this one, not perfect, doesn't give everything. There are 25 different dashboards built in. In terms of giving them speed to insight, they do have to do a little clicking, but in terms of do they want to, they can use it however they want to use it. So in terms of what is the job of the dashboard, our portal is going to be to get them to where they want to go, and then they can use it however they want it. So a lot of times it's just going to be, I want to see how my performance is doing. I just want to see a couple of different things, but then there's going to be other users that really want to get at the data, download the data. And so this portal allows the users, it meets them where they want to be met. And then lastly, implementing changes. So that was another thing that has, building this portal has helped us identify what are our most frequently used, most important reports to our users. We know when we make changes, these are the reports that are going to be updated, and we tell our users that these are our most important reports. If they're in here, we will keep them up to date. It's also helped us try to retire some reports that are no longer being used and replace them with our most important reports. So this is just an example of the data set that we showed in Excel, and then where each of these actions that we're going to be showing are going to be used. So again, there's going to be 4 different action types, and they're going to be used to do different things for each of the fields in our data set. The first is going to be our set action. Our second is going to be our parameter action to show everything. Our third is going to be to filter, and our fourth is going to be to create another link. So in terms of what this looks like in our data set as we go through, our first click is going to be on that product, and what that's going to do is gray out everything else. We want to keep it simple for our users and not give them 25 options. The second click is going to find our portal link, And then it's also going to filter out our other URL link that we're going to send our users directly to the dashboard. And I'll show what that looks like in Tableau. But then once we get into Tableau, the desktop, there's really just 4 steps to build this, and then 4 actions that will do this. So we're going to build our set and create a calculated field, add 2 parameters, and put them on our dashboard, and add our dashboard actions that will provide all of this navigation to and from the different dashboards. So this is just an image of this. I'm going to go through these quickly as we'll do this in Tableau, but this is what our category set looks like. First thing we're going to just go in is right-click on category, create a set, and we're going to default it to all. From there, our calculated field and our actions are going to take care of getting it to the way that we want to see it. Our second calculation is going to be just saying, if we pick this category, then show the dashboards related to that category. If not, blank it out. Then we're going to create our 2 different parameters that are going to hold our portal link and our go-to link. And then these are the actions. So we'll spend a little time just talking about this as doing what we want it to do. So our first set action is going to be used because we want our user to click on one group, and we just want them to see the reports associated with that group. We don't want them to be choosing from 25. We want them to be choosing from 5, broken into 5 different categories. So that's going to be what the set action is going to be used to do. The second one is going to be our parameter action. And what that's going to do is on that second link, that's going to drive what is going to be shown in our view. And at the same time, that's going to be creating a link on our second sheet, which is going to be our arrow. So that click is going to filter our second sheet so that now our portal link and our URL link are holding the same dashboard value. Then from there, that allows us to add our URL action. That's our final step in the process. That allows our user to go out to that report. So before I go into Tableau, we'll just share the tips. And these are the things that work for us. Doesn't mean it's going to work in every organization, but I think this is why we've had success for it and our users are using the dashboard. We include the most important reports for them. We ask them, what do you want included? We got their buy-in, and we showed them how to use it. So we didn't include everything. So that's important. If you include too much, sometimes they don't know what they're looking for anymore. And our suggestion would just keep our numbers limited. So we give them 5 groups that have 5 reports in each. And then in terms of user experience and navigation, what worked for us is we showed them how to use it. So we did present it to them at our sales conference. And then one of the things that was talked about too at the General Mills meeting last week was gaining buy-in from a non-tech savvy user. So that does go a long way with others as well to use your dashboard. And then the link arrow is just used so users can do it differently. I do have my email up here, so if anyone would like a copy of the presentation with the steps, I'd be happy to provide that as well. So at this point, I'm going to go into the desktop. Yes.
When you started this, Greg, did you know sort of the question I'm trying to ask is is the unintended or the benefits of basically creating the sort of report catalog, was that an unintended benefit, or did you go into this going, this is going to be icing on the cake?
No, we went into it because a lot of times our users just kept using the wrong reports and they kept telling us, I don't know where to go.
Yep. And
so this was a solution to get them the right information. So we worked with our sales leader and said, get started. We only put 10 reports in there. So this is where we're going to start, and then we're going to identify what are your most important reports. So at the sales conference, they broke things out, and one of the things was north of the line. That's the important reports, and that's what we want to put in. And so over time, we expanded it to add more.
Yep.
But the goal was just our users get frustrated when different reports say different things. And so now we built our list for them where these are the ones that are going to be updated, and
Yeah.
Essentially, if you're not in this list, your dashboard's probably going to be retired and it's not updated anymore.
Yeah, and now you've got this great foundation to actually manage your dashboards and your reports. And just, I think a lot of times people will wait until they have a tool to do that when they could do exactly what you have just done and just start with a list of a few reports in Excel and then build from there. So,
Yeah.
Good job.
Thank you. Yeah, and this has worked well for them. And so I know Jake is on our team here, and we would get probably 10 times. How do I get to this report again? And which one should I be looking at? And now it's all there for them.
Very cool. And so simple.
Yeah, very simple, and they all work together pretty nicely here. So now, here's what this looks like in the desktop version. So the first thing we're going to do is build our remote control report. And so to do that, I have these numbered. So the first thing we're going to do is build this set here. So this one is already filtered based on the actions. But to do this, we just right-click on here, and we would create a set and default it to all. And everything will be filtered by our actions and the user selection to get it the way we want it. So step 1, build that set. Step 2 is then build this calculated field to say if the user selects, in this case it's our product, only show the reports associated with the product or else blank it out. And that allows us to keep our options limited. And then we're going to build our parameters. The first one that we're going to build is our portal link parameter. So in a couple of steps, we're going to create this parameter here. And these contain all of our links that are in our Excel file. And if we use this when workbook opens from that field, it'll keep it updated as we go through. So then we're going to put these on and we're going to build, that gives us enough to build sheet 1. So we have our set that's out here, and then we have our calculated field, and then also we have our portal link. And why we put that on here is because that's going to be our field that we're going to create our second sheet. So we need a field to filter the selection here onto our sheet 2. And so when we go to sheet 2 now, the only thing we're going to really do now is we're going to have this go-to link as well. And we want to be able to filter this sheet from what the user selects on our dashboard. So these are our 2 sheets that we're going to use to do this. So then when we go to our dashboard, right now there's really just 2 big pieces to it. It's one big vertical container on our left side, and then there's a big TV window that's on our right side. So after we pull on our remote control, hide our title here, what we would do next is we would pull out this web page here and pull that into our view here. So by pulling out this web page here and then entering in our parameter from our portal link, now everything is connected after we do our actions, so that whatever the user selects in this selection will change our view that's now being held by our portal link parameter. So in terms of the actions, we did show what they look like, but then we'll go look at that. So on the dashboard, now we're going to create our actions. And these are numbered as well. So our first action, again, is that set action. And so this is what it looks like. When we select, in this case, our product, we want to assign the values to the set. When we clear it, we want to remove it. Our next piece, and this is action 2, this is going to be what our team would refer to as the magic. This is what turns the TV on and puts it on the channel that it goes to. So this is our parameter action here. And the parameter that's being held in here, our target parameter, is that portal link parameter that we created as our third step here. So that gives enough to just have the TV on. The remainder of the steps 3 and 4 in the actions are now to just create this arrow button. So based on this selection here, what we have highlighted in that insight table, we need to create a filtering action on to our sheet 2. And so this is the action that will do that. So from our sheet 1, we want to filter sheet 2. And we have all fields here now because we have that common field that I could just really replace that with the portal link because that's on both sheets there. And then lastly is our URL action. And what we're going to select here is a new browser tab. And so what that's going to enable the user to do is click on that arrow and go out to a new sheet. So this is an example of 4 actions that work together. Has built a dashboard that our users really use quite a bit, and they get what they want out of it. They know where to go to get things, and they're able to get to it and from it in a very quick manner. So that is all I have for my presentation. Are there any questions or anything you'd like me to revisit?
I just had a quick one. I think I already know the answer, but in all of your URL links, you're linking to other Tableau dashboards.
Yes.
There would really be nothing preventing you from linking to, say, like a Salesforce report, right?
No.
You can link really to anything.
Anything.
Love it.
Yeah.
Love it, because we have the same thing. We've got both Tableau reports and Salesforce reports, and we've started building more and more. And our sales team is like, where are we supposed to go for what?
Right.
And this is a perfect way to
Yeah.
help them figure that out.
Did you guys online hear the question? Or would you like it repeated? I don't want to be redundant if that's the case. Are you guys still there? Okay. Well, let me know if you want any questions repeated. I'm happy to do it. Or Greg can do it. I have a question. So there's a certain number of folks who may never actually click the arrow, right? Like just sort of having that preview of that dashboard is enough.
Correct.
Do you guys track that? Do you guys ever look at because I see that you've got, the to view a new tab and can download. So when you say download, do you think that is interpreted as can download the data or it can download the dashboard or both or what?
Yeah, so it would be both. We added that arrow to tell them they can download the data. That was their specific use case. So
because ideally the need to do that would be less and less and less if the dashboards are hidden home, right? So just curious if you guys are keeping track of that, who's clicking and who's not.
We do have traffic to dashboards, and we can see where they're going. This one in particular, between 50 sales reps, gets about 600 views a week. So we see they're using it.
Yep.
And then once they click out, we don't track how many click the arrow, but we can see all the ones that are in here. That's part of how we determine what goes in here, which ones are you using in our traffic to dashboards. Can
you see where the traffic comes from? Can you attribute traffic to a dashboard from this dashboard? I don't know if that's possible.
We don't look at it that way. Our data engineering team might be able to let us know. But yeah, no, I think a lot of what our users do is we see if they subscribe to this, and then they get this every day. When they want to go, they just click in that subscription, and then they go from there.
Yeah.
So then a user would utilize your guys' server. They would log into the server, and this would be the first Tableau workbook they would see, and they would use the Tableau workbook that was on the server to navigate everything.
Yeah, so they would land on this dashboard.
Okay.
Through their subscription email, or else we just send them the link.
Yep.
But then what gets included, they're used to seeing, they'll go to their forecast or their active customer list, and they're used to trying to download them, and they can't do that though. It just gives that Excel file that I showed.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, then when they have to go out to it, then they have that ability. So I don't know if that answered your question entirely.
I was just more or less because what you're showing us right here, this is what you did on Tableau Public, but you guys have something that's it's proprietary towards your guys' internal server.
Yeah, exactly. So that's, our sales team has a similar one here, and it's like their forecast.
Did you do this first?
No, I just
Okay.
did this for this presentation using that one. But I've wanted to do this for a while because I have all these dashboards and I know what it looks like, but
Yep.
I want to find it and I know what to use. So,
Cool.
good.
Yeah.
Anything else, Tom?
How'd you come up with those cool emojis next to
Oh.
the categories?
Yeah. So I put them in the Excel file. Because wanted to do as limited things in here as I could and then concatenated them in Excel. But that comes by pressing the Windows and the I. No?
Period. Windows
Windows
period.
and period.
Or you can Google like copy paste. You knew the answer to this question already, didn't you?
Yeah, so you can get all these things to just put in, and so it does help the user to have some type of image in terms of guiding them as to what category we want to click on.
Visual
So,
cues. Although it is funny that they're black and white in the Excel file and color
correct.
in,
Yes.
in
Yeah.
desktop, and I'm assuming on server.
Okay.
So
Anything else?
let me check the chat. Any questions for
Somebody
there?
said repeat, please, but I think that was 3 questions.
Oh,
Okay.
I will. I'll repeat really quick. So Kristen had just asked if you were limited to only linking to things, like only Tableau dashboards, and the answer was that you could literally link to anything that has a web URL. And her example was like a Salesforce report. So
When we go to our dashboard for the first time, like it'll give you a little warning and pop up and say that you've got external links in here. So be careful with the credentials.
danger, Will Robinson. Okay, awesome.
All right.
Thank you, Greg.
Well, I'll turn it over to Tom.
While you're doing that, I'm having battery insecurity. I might have a charger in here. I don't know.
That was awesome. They won't feel like I need to upgrade my home PC. Ours is so old. In fact, a lot of the letters have worn off at this point. I can't even see the keyboard letters.
That's a sign.
You still have a new one? No way.
Yeah, so I'm gonna, I will sit down with Amy to sleep off.
He's been trying to get a new one since
You're
I've
over
started,
2?
like years.
I've been getting bad. I really don't want to revisit.
What's good online?
Okay.
Well, you're still using the one with the broken keys?
You should just grab the keys from the one, just pop them up.
I'm ready to just send you to Best Buy. Wow.
All right, so thank you everyone for coming. Greg, that was awesome. I love the portal. You did a great job presenting. So mine, I don't know why the little things, it's not supposed to show up on the bottom, but anyways. So my presentation is all about using PowerPoint to give your dashboard a glow up. Hopefully you'll get a little inspiration. A lot of the stuff I'm doing today is pretty simple in itself. So, hopefully you can kind of use it in everyday use, and hopefully you'll find it useful. So I'm also a finance analytics manager here at Midco. Greg's a colleague of mine. So I started using Tableau back in 2014, so about 10 years now. So the first version that I used for Tableau is 8.0. And I looked it up yesterday. So the hot new feature was adding tree maps to the show me section in Tableau. So that was definitely a while ago. But anyways, so I by no means am a graphic designer. I work in finance. I'm very, left or right brained, whatever. But that doesn't mean that I can't be creative, and that doesn't mean that we can all be creative. So I'm going to give you some tips on just making your dashboards a little more appealing. Be able to do it without like an expensive Photoshop license or any technical expertise with any visualization softwares. So with that, I'll hop into the agenda here. So I'm going to give you just some general guidelines that I follow. By no means you need to follow them, just some good tips for you. I'm going to go through some real life examples of some stuff that I've created here at my time at Midco. And then I created a dashboard just for today. And I kind of did a before and after. So kind of pre-makeover and post-makeover. So hopefully we can have some fun with that. All right, so let's hop into guidelines here. So the first thing to remember is that our brains like visuals. So I read this on the internet, look it up, quote me, don't quote me. It says that our brains process visuals 60,000 times faster than text. So visuals will go into our long-term memory a lot quicker than boring crosstab or text. And one thing that I like to think about is if you went to an elementary school, saw a good teacher teaching, usually they're using some sort of visual aid to teach their students. So it just helps us to learn better. So my next bullet point here is to pick and choose your battles. So this is always something that I go into creating a new dashboard. I have all these grandiose ideas like, oh, I can do this cool visual. But we got to remember that, we have a finite amount of time. Some stuff you just need to get out there, publish, and move on to the next. But if you have a dashboard that you think is going to get high visibility, maybe it's going to go to an executive or C-level audience, or you really want to drive engagement, I like to spend an extra hour or two to kind of really, pretty up my dashboard, add some imagery, add some more instructions on it to, kind of really help engagement and, give that little extra. So the next one is small enhancements can go a long way. So what I mean by this is even if you can't spend the extra couple hours to really glam up your dashboard, little things like just adding icons or little imagery or just some instructions can really help drive better engagement on your dashboards. The next one is that you don't want to overpower the data. So remember, the main reason that we're building a dashboard typically is that we're trying to tell a story about the data that we're presenting. So we don't want to distract from the data, but rather just enhance what we're trying to get across. And then the last one is be creative. So there is no right or wrong when it comes to creativity. There's a lot of sources out there for visual best practices and so-called experts. But I'm always of the thinking that there's no rules when it comes to creativity. No one can stop you from using your creative juices.
Doesn't make a dashboard good.
Anyways, I like to draw inspiration from like my everyday life. So if I see like a cool graphic during a football game or see a cool infographic, whether it's on a website or a piece of mail, or going out to Tableau Public and just looking at the awesome stuff that other authors have developed. And I don't know, I look over that video screen over there and there's like this cool, like kind of neon purple thing. So there's stuff all over the place where you can kind of draw inspiration and use your creative side of your brain. So anyways, I'm just going to show you a couple examples of stuff that I've built in my time here at Midco. And Sarah, tell me if I'm going too
You're good.
slow.
That was not a.
Oh yeah. So tell me if I need to stop.
You're good.
Okay. So anyways, I'm just going to talk through just some stuff that I've built and really just give you inspiration and talk about like how easy it is to build. So I've obviously blocked out data here, but this first dashboard that I'm showing, this is like a daily flash that gets sent out to our executive teams. And it's literally just like this blue crosstab or a bunch of crosstabs. But the idea is that we wanted to format this flash for a phone. So like if an executive is waking up, they're looking at their email, they're looking on a phone. So this was like one of my first projects back in like 2019, I think. And Brad said he wanted it formatted for a phone. And I thought it'd be fun to actually put a phone in the background of the dashboard. So It's pretty simple to make. So I'm literally just taking a rectangle in PowerPoint with like rounded edges, and I'm sticking a couple circles on here. And then this is like a little rectangle. I don't know if you can see it. It's kind of texturized. And it does have a home button. Like I said, I built this in 2019. I still have the same phone. I'm still on the iPhone 8, so I'm about due for an upgrade. But yeah, anyways, just a fun little dashboard. So the next one here is a P&L statement. So as Greg and I, we both work in finance analytics. This is finance data. It's not the most fun all the time, like sexy data, but that doesn't mean you can't have fun and be creative with it. So I love infographics. So this was kind of my attempt to make like a summary page to showcase the data. So again, everything besides like the crosstabs in here is built in PowerPoint and a couple icons. So like the clouds are just like stock imagery. There's a little triangle here built on a rectangle. This one probably took a little more than an hour or two, but in any case, it's not perfect, but hopefully your end user, if they're the type of person, would enjoy this thing. Next one, it was funny that Greg was talking about a TV and a remote control. So this is another just kind of boring crosstab, but overlaid on top of an image of a TV. And then over on the right is actually a remote control. And the idea of the remote control was one, to kind of serve as a filter box. So you can see the filters over here, but also a navigation tool. So actually like the green button and the blue button here navigate you to like different tabs on the dashboard itself. So cautionary on this is like, know your audience. If they're not very good with Tableau and they don't use it a lot, you might not want to build a remote control for navigation. But you know, just give you some inspiration on what you can do. Again, this is just like simple rectangles that you're just kind of placing on top of, or putting circles on top of a rectangle and formatting like a remote control. Next one, I'll go through these a little quicker. This is like a scorecard that gets distributed on a daily basis to our executive team. So it's basically takes a bunch of categories and aggregates everything into like a total score to tell how good we performed on a given day. And what I wanted to point out here was one, like this oval is just like a simple PowerPoint shape, but also if you have like a brand template of PowerPoint, it can be really a good use case to serve as like a backdrop of your dashboard. So this like blue and green checkered little display out here, this is like our brand template for Midco. So I literally just saved it as an image and then I just placed that on the back of the dashboard. And then hopefully if I have time, I'll show you how to build this, but it's basically the use of icons and then using actions to basically drive up an image here. So like if you clicked on one of these little needles, this pops up basically a PowerPoint slide that I've saved as an image that describes specifically like that category, like the scoring system and a little more details of that category. So again, just some like simple imagery that can really help explain your dashboard.
That was on a hover or something that you would do? So like you would hover and then you would see that? Or?
You could do a hover.
Oh,
this
okay.
is specifically a click.
Oh, okay.
But yeah, it's basically an action to, or sorry, no, it is actually, you do have to click because it's the add hide button, I think.
Yeah.
So there's that. And then the last example is another one that I did kind of back in the day. So this is like a customer journey. You could fully do the same thing with like a Sankey chart or whatnot, but if you're kind of newer to Tableau and you think that's a little intimidating, this is kind of a good alternative. So this is literally just a bunch of like sheets laid on here. But the idea of this is to kind of give navigation to your end user. So like here, it's kind of obvious that you start on the left of the dashboard and you kind of follow the arrows down the path. And this is kind of explains the different potential kind of decision trees for a customer. Or sorry, yeah. So with that, I'm going to hop over to Tableau. Give me a second, I'm gonna change my display settings here.
Is that your
Those,
desktop?
those are our brand colors.
I was gonna say,
Yeah.
you keep them handy, don't you?
We use them a lot, yeah.
That's a lot of colors.
Sometimes I don't think it's enough, but
There's a lot more.
Well, yeah.
Oh my
Once they
goodness.
see how it's using more or something. Like I can go out and I can
All right, can everybody see Tableau dashboard? Good?
Yeah.
Okay.
Actually, online they
Oh,
cannot.
shoot. Well, I'm gonna stop sharing and try to reshare here. Thank you. Okay, good.
Trippy every time. Yep, we're good.
All right. So this is not the post glow up dashboard here, guys. This is pretty basic stuff. I'm just using like Superstore data here. And we're just looking at sales and profitability by category. We have it by furniture, office supplies, technology. We have our sales, profit ratio. We got some filters up here. We got a map. We all love maps. But man, this just doesn't give it any oomph at all. So what if I told you we can make this, turn it into a 3D dashboard? Have you ever seen a 3D Tableau dashboard? Well, it can blow your mind here. So,
Oh my God.
so everything in here, so there's the same data. Basically, the front section here is a crosstab that I basically use custom shapes in PowerPoint and placed it on the dashboard. These images, I haven't mentioned this yet, but PowerPoint has a lot of great like stock 3D images. And the cool thing about it is like, hopefully I can show you, but you can kind of click it and drag it to the angle that you want. So like if you're trying to build something like this, to have like your ghosts in one direction and the cubes in another, it's not going to look great. But you can kind of play with it to get everything to orient well. So the background, you can't do this in Tableau itself, but this is just like a gradient background that is saved as an image. I'll show you how I did like the crosstab into here in a second. Another little tip is the fonts. So this is obviously like Halloween themed. I wouldn't use like this font probably in like your everyday professional life, but I wanted to kind of make something fun here. So you'll notice it's kind of subtle, but there's like shadows on the font here. So you can't necessarily do that in Tableau. So what I actually did was create the font, adjusted like the settings, and then I saved it as an image, and then it's placed on the dashboard. So I don't know if it's happened to you before, but a couple times where I found like a cool font that I really like, I'm really excited, build it all on desktop, and then I publish it, and it's not the same font. It's a real buzzkill. So, so this kind of is a fail-safe. It should render always the same to the end user. And then, so like the map, I've just placed on top of a cube. So I literally took like the same cube that I built in PowerPoint, kind of resized it. It's already like the same angle, same gradient, and just put that kind of behind the map. And then here is just like a filter box too, kind of same concept. I just kind of resize. And if we have time, I'll show you how to build an overlay if you're not familiar. So if you click on the ghost here, this will kind of bring up this little transparent container here. And I'll publish this on my Tableau Public. And usually you'll give your user some information like click here to see this or whatever. I just kind of gave you some instructions on where I got the shapes and how I built some of the stuff. And then the last feature that I love has no real purpose at all, but you might notice this little flashlight in the bottom right. It's kind of a spooky, scary dashboard. If you want to add some light on here, you turn on the flashlight. I don't know if you can see that. We can highlight some stuff here. So not a real great use. Maybe if you wanted to point out a KPI or something like that, but it does turn off too. You notice actually is 2 different images there. So you're gonna play around with turn your flashlight on now. Anyways, so that's the dashboard that I built for today. I was gonna walk you through a couple things. So let me hop back over to PowerPoint. So one, I was gonna show you just some of the formatting and how I did some of the shapes here. So I was just going to show you how I created like the shape and customize it. So I'm just going to insert here, and I went to shapes, and they have like just a ton of options here for just stock shapes. You can always build like your own and whatnot, but I just went under basic shapes, and you see the cube here, and you basically just insert it on your PowerPoint slide. And usually it's going to pop up as like this bland blue color. But if you right click and hit format, so let me close out of that again. So right click, format shape. You'll get all like your formatting stuff on the right. And what I'm doing here, so it defaults to like a solid fill. I'm just changing this to gradient. And there's some like preset gradients. So you can kind of pick your colors that you want. You're gonna do like the dark gray. And then you can pick kind of like the shadowing. So there's like linear, radial, rectangular, path. I did a lot of like trial and error to kind of see like what looks good. And then the gradient stops here are basically the different shades of grade here, or gray, within the cube. So if you kind of play around with this, you'll see it kind of changes shading. And again, a little trial and error to kind of figure out like what looks good. And it also defaults, I don't know if you can see it well, but there's like a little blue outline here, and it doesn't really pop really good. So I'm actually going to turn that off. It gives it a little more like realistic feel. So once you have it all like formatted to the way you want it, it's as simple as just right clicking, and we're going to save it as a picture. And for those of you who don't know, if you save this in your Tableau repository, so if you go to, it's usually under your desktop documents, you should have a default folder for my Tableau repository. If you would find the shapes folder, so click into here and then save it into one of these folders, or like I created a specific folder just for today. So you'd kind of just save it in there. So then you go back to Tableau. So, oh yeah, and then I didn't mention this before, but the reason I wanted to do this all in one sheet, you could literally build like 12 cubes and then like your 3D imagery and have it in a static place. But the goal was to kind of utilize like the built-in animation in Tableau. So for example, like if I clicked on Minnesota, you should see like the cubes kind of animate. So I wanted to kind of be able to utilize that effect. So I'll just hop into the sheet here. So this is kind of like the skeleton of the dashboard itself. But basically what I did was, one, I created like a dummy calculation. So you see the spacer calculation. So if I open that up, it's literally just 0. And I'm basically putting that in the columns 4 times, 1 for each of my columns. And then I have category in my rows, and then I basically hid that header. So like here's your standard header, I've hid that. And then I'm basically going in each of the mark sections, and then I'm updating the labels and then changing each of the shapes. So like right now, the summer spacers is this first column here. So I change it to shape, and then I'm navigating to where like my TC Tug folder is. And then I'm going through each of these categories and assigning a shape to each. And then I'm kind of going into the labels under text. Like in this first one, I just wanted the category. And then each of these next ones, I'm basically adding like sales, profit ratio. So you gotta go in each of these one by one and update the labels. Yeah, so that's basically it. And then if you are building like a 3D dashboard, You generally kind of want to have it from one of the perspectives. So like either you want something kind of like in your bottom left, or if you want it the other kind of way, maybe your bottom right. And then you kind of got to just play around with like what makes it look, good from a visual standpoint. So there's a little just adjusting where the sheets go. How are we doing on time?
3:41. So we've got 20 minutes.
Okay. You guys want to see how to do an information overlay? Okay, cool.
Sure.
All right, awesome. So information overlay, so again, that's the ghost here. And just a little tip, if you're in desktop and you want to preview your overlay, you either have to go to full screen and you can click on it, or if you hit Alt and click, then it will pop up. So how I did this was the first step is we want to take an export image of our dashboard. So if we go to dashboard and then go to export image, and then we can save it to wherever. Just remember where we saved it. So then we're going to go back over to PowerPoint here. What I'm doing is, let's go to insert picture from device. So I'm going to go find out where I saved that. And pro tip, so if you set your dimensions to your dashboard to PowerPoint default, so 1600 by 900, it's going to be the exact same size as the default PowerPoint slide in PowerPoint. You can adjust and customize the size of your PowerPoint slide, but it's really simple to there's a little trial and error if you don't have the same dimensions to kind of get everything to line up right. But anyways, if you want to just as like a starting point, I would say use like a 1600 by 900 dimensions. So you paste in your image, and then the next step here is we're just going to take a rectangle and we're going to place it directly on our image here. So we got our little blue rectangle. We're going to right click and we're going to do format shape. So I recommend kind of having your overlay to be something contrasting from the dashboard. So if you have a dark dashboard, I would typically kind of do like a white overlay, and vice versa if you have like a whiter dashboard. So we have kind of a darker dashboard, so I'm going to change this to like a white color. And then the key is to increase the transparency. So it's kind of blurry, you can kind of see it. For this one, I think like around 30% kind of looks good. So somewhat transparent. And then it's simple as just adding your text box and shapes. So like one thing I like to do is just like add a bunch of arrows. So like if we want to point out, something to the user, make this arrow a little thicker. And then I'll insert like a text box. And whatever, this is the KPI section. So figure out all the stuff that you kind of want to lay out to your user. And then the last step is really to click on everything that you added. So it's a little tedious, but you only have to do this one time. So I'm going to click on the arrow. I'm going to click on the text box. And then I'm going to click on the rectangle as well. Don't do select all, because we don't want to select the image behind there of our dashboard. So really we're clicking on the 3 items that we had on top of the dashboard. And then we're going to right click, and then we're going to do group. And then we're going to right click again, and then we're going to save it as a picture. So then save it to wherever. Now we're going to go back to Tableau, and I have a version without the overlay on here. And then it's as simple as adding image onto the dashboard. And you want to do this as floating. And remember, so we set up the dimensions of this as like 1600 by 900. So I'll show you in a second. Let me choose the image. So here's an overlay, the same one that was on the original. All right, so then we want to resize this to basically 0, 0, 1600 by 900. And it should go exactly right over our dashboard. So that's cool. We need to add one more step here. So if we go to the upper right and we want to do add show high button here. So you're going to see a little image, this little X in the upper left. Drag it to kind of where you want it on the dashboard. We're going to resize this. And then basically you can have the same image or have two different images, whether you want what you want to show as for like the add high button. So if I hit the more options here, and then I go to edit button. So for the item hidden, so that's kind of like when you don't show the overlay, what do you want to have displayed? And this is like where I want to have my little ghost guy here. So I'll add him. And then when the item's shown, I usually like to have some sort of X or something like that. It's usually easy for the user to know, like re-click on this to get rid of the overlay. So then it's like simple as that. So if I go back to full screen, and hit the X, it should go away. And click on again, and it should show up again. So pretty basic stuff. There's like nothing really super complex, but just a couple little things to kind of really give your dashboard a glow up. So yeah. Question?
I was just wondering, how does this affect the performance of your dashboard?
Will you repeat it?
Yeah, so the question was, how does this affect like buffer times of speed of dashboards? And I've really not seen any big issues on our end. I would say, maybe just play around with it, publish some stuff and test it out. If you are seeing like slow rendering times, maybe you need to rethink stuff and take off a little of the glam. But yeah, I haven't really seen any issues. Have you guys ever?
I
Yeah.
don't think there should be.
Yeah.
It's a small image.
Yeah. Yeah.
We have a couple dashboards at Donaldson that do the same thing, and we recently did some optimization on a couple of them, more on the data side, and that was like 90% of the problem.
Oh, okay.
They move really quickly now. I don't think this affects performance much at all.
Cool. Awesome.
Is it fair to say that Midco has a healthy appetite for this kind of like playfulness,
Good question. Yeah.
silliness in dashboards and reports?
I personally think so. I don't know how you guys agree, but
Seems
one
like,
I would
don't know, I
say.
never asked.
Well, first I'll say is that Midco is a very data-driven culture, which is a little different from other organizations that I work for, where you build these awesome dashboards and nobody looks at it. And it's just like, what am I doing? But Midco, it's like, build a dashboard for this, build a dashboard for this. What data can we use to drive this decision? So I think that makes it easier to, see the ROI of spending the extra time and building out dashboards that kind of look a little more visually appealing. And I feel like it's such a tableau culture at Midco that I think people appreciate it.
Yeah, and I'll just say in terms of having fun, I think the company does value fun and not, a lot of the times we're doing things that are kind of boring, especially in finance is by nature somewhat boring. So I think there's definitely a tone at the top to have fun when we can and glow up things or do something small to, I haven't actually seen a flashlight in a dashboard yet, but that'll be the next thing to spotlight something important.
There was something like that in I think it was 2019. I can't remember. It was 2018 or 2019. Kimley Scott's
Oh, yes.
Iron Biz
Yeah.
dashboard. Looked a little bit different than this one, but.
Any other questions?
Do you watch Glow Up?
No, what's that?
It's a show on Netflix.
Oh, I just learned of this term. I'm
Okay.
38, so I
All right.
assume it's for
I was
slang
gonna
for
say that was a good idea with that info, because a lot of the times, I have trouble where, people get overwhelmed by a dashboard. So, having that click to actually take them through like a journey first,
Cool.
very cool idea.
Yeah, I think we got this from like the Tableau conference 3 or 4 years
Yeah,
ago.
that was one of the online Tableau
Yeah.
conference. Someone gave
Yeah.
a presentation about how to do an overlay.
Yeah, and so like we have like internal like user groups and stuff that we do, and we took it from the Tableau conference and we had like a session on it. And man, there's so many dashboards out there now that use this overlay.
Well,
so
I mean, like it's powerful because like I create documentation, but then nobody
yeah,
carries around the documentation.
it's a good point.
So
Yeah.
it's just good to just embed it in there. So good idea.
Check the chat, see if there's any questions.
And then that flashlight thing, so that was just with an object with transparency, I take it.
Yeah, it's the exact same format as the overlay, or the ghost overlay. So literally the only difference here is like I basically have 2 images. So this is like a stock 3D image. I'm going to show you that in PowerPoint. But all I did was I put a little oval on top of it to basically cover up the light of the flashlight. So like here we go. So that's like a secondary image that literally I just add like a little black cylinder on top of there to black out the flashlight there.
Awesome. Thank you, Dan.
Thank you.
All right. Just double check for questions. Okay. I'll move over here instead of crouching down like a weirdo. Okay, so thank you to Midco for letting us use this location. Thank you to Greg and to Tom for their fabulous presentations. And seriously, thank you to everyone who showed up, dressed in costumes, had a little fun with us. And thanks to those of you that joined us online as well. Keep an eye out for registration for our December tug, which again, I think is December 7th. We do get away from our regular cadence to avoid Thanksgiving and then Christmas. So we won't actually be meeting in November. So yeah, December 7th will be our next one. So keep an eye out for that information. So, all right. Thanks you guys. We're going to go, at least some of us are going to go grab a drink, and we will see you next time. Take care, everybody.